Welcome back to Obviously Automotive. Today we're going to see about taking this hardtop off and putting on a new soft top. Part of the reason of having Jeep, I guess, is have that open air experience. Plus this hardtop doesn't have the original metal doors, and you can't open the back hatch to access anything that might be in the back because the spare tire on this Jeep's mounted to the back, so the hatch is not able to be opened. So with the soft top, I'll be able to get into the back easier. Plus I need to replace the windshield seal here on the body and do some interior work, all of which are just going to be pretty much required to remove the top. So that's one of the reasons of doing the soft top as well. Anyways, let's get to it. So like I said, one of the reasons of removing this top is I need to replace the gasket that runs under the windshield here because it leaks. Plus, like I said, the doors are made out of wood. They would have originally been steel, but when this top was purchased by the previous owner, the doors were missing, but he made doors to go on it, which appears to be using some original hardware that would have been on the steel doors. So maybe the steel doors were damaged, or he was able to get these pieces. But you can see that this window is made to roll up and down with a crank, which is how the steel door would have been. Now to get this top off, there are bolts all the way around, it looks like. So I have to take those off. I'm not sure if there's some back here. I'm assuming there probably are. You can see here how you can't open the hatch. There's the handle. And I believe I'll have to take these screws out here on the top. And I think it'll be pretty straightforward. There is a stop cable here on the door. So I'll remove that, and in order to take the door off, which I believe will just lift right off the hinges. There's that. Now the top that I'm installing is a Bestop Supertop that's made for this 73 CJ5. So we'll kind of see what all is involved with that particular top. It's kind of the only option available really, and it's not really too cheap either. They have two versions. They have the Supertop and the Tiger Top, and it has a difference of $100. The Tiger Top is kind of more traditional. It has snaps down the side. It doesn't have the two-piece doors and things like that. I went with the Supertop mainly because you can take the top of the door off and still have a bottom door if you have the top rolled up, and it has panels that remove instead of having snaps that you have to roll the sides up. Now that is more traditional, but I figured for only $100 difference, I might as well get the more modern style top. So let's see what all's involved. again, I just pushed up on it. It's ready to come off. Got the top off, and you can see one of the features here. The windshield folds down, and I need to replace this gasket here. It's not really doing its job. And do a lot of cleaning. Oh, that is a lot of dog hair. This is what you get in the kit. Doors, two-piece doors, the top assembly / bows, rails for around the bed and body, bag of hardware, and not pictured is the top itself. Installation time says 3 hours, and it's moderately difficult. Tools: power drill, punch, wrench, knife, 7/16 wrench, flathead and Phillips screwdrivers, a hammer, tape measure, pencil, and safety glasses. And this particular top fits 55 through 75 Jeep CJ5s, as well as the military version M38A1. They say a very important measurement here is that from the back of the windshield to the rearmost point of the tub, it must be 69.5 inches on both sides. Measure from 6 inches inside the doors. So there. 69.5 exact. Looks like I'm good. All right, step one is to put these corner rails on either side. And then we'll use a punch and then drill holes for the bolts. And the hardware to attach these rails is a Phillips head bolt and this zinc plated retainer. I spent so much time working on the windshield gasket and just cleaning this Jeep up because it's just gross inside from years of not being cleaned, that now it's dark, so I'm having to do this by flashlight. So we put the corner rail on there, and I went ahead and took a Sharpie and marked where I wanted the holes to be. And then you take your punch, put it on the mark, tap it with your hammer. That way your drill bit don't walk away when you're trying to drill. So we'll go ahead and drill these holes. I've already punched them. Not wanting to cooperate, so I'm going to give it a little bit more of a hit there. finally the 5/16. All right. I will put the bolts in. So we got a bolt with a washer, and then this threaded retainer that goes on the bottom side that fits inside the rail. So it appears that this retainer is a little too wide and isn't going to line up exactly right. So I think if I hold it lower than the flat of this top of this rail and then kind of at an angle, I should be able to get a thread on. I'll go ahead and kind of make the hole a little bit bigger to give me a little play room. It says to leave all the hardware loose. So next we'll go ahead and do this side rail, mark and punch the holes and drill them, and then install. Two holes that are closest together goes towards the front of the vehicle, and the side that has one hole goes towards the rear. Now I will say, my Jeep, and I know on some other ones, there's this pipe welded here. So you can't get a hole drilled on this side of the pipe, but you can get one drilled over here. So I'm just gonna leave these bolts out because I don't think it'll be that big of a deal. Almost got ahead of myself. On this side, there is a vertical support and the door latch. So this bracket, the big holes go down where we just drilled those holes, and the long upward part with the two small holes goes up, obviously, and these two tabs face out. So we set this on top, and we can go ahead and put our two bolts in place here. And be careful, because if you drop one of these retainers, it's going to go into another region on this Jeep, and I'm sure other Jeeps are just like this. You might be able to fish it out with a magnet, but I've already lost one, so just don't lose your retainers. Now that I say that, watch me drop another one. And again, you just leave all this loose because I'm sure there's adjustment procedure. Next is the door striker. The flat part goes towards the inside of the vehicle, so it'll go like this. And we will use these two lock nuts and these two bolts here to fasten it on. And I'm just going to leave it loose because I'm sure I'll need to adjust the latches when the doors get installed. Okay, just a little bit tighter. Oh, that's the bed rails. Already done the other side, so let's do the rear rail. Now my Jeep doesn't have a tailgate, so I will be using this long rail to just go right over the back. If you have a tailgate, you're just supposed to not put anything on it, and you'll use snaps at that point in order to, I guess, snap the rear flap down. Now this one doesn't use bolts. It instead uses some screws. You can see we got some smaller holes. So I'll go ahead and mark this, punch the body, and then drill the holes and install it. there's actually a hole drilled right here from a previous top or something, so it's kind of gonna hamper. I'd have to just put a nut and bolt on that one since there's already a hole there. And we'll be using these screws, pan head screws. That actually worked. The hole was a little off center, and so I allowed that to tighten down, so I don't have to worry about getting a nut and bolt for that. Alright, now we got all the rails on, so let's see what's next. And it says to put this up against the windshield frame and basically line it up with the bottom and then mark the holes. And same deal, punch them, drill them, 2 screws, and that should hold this in place. I think we'll call it a knot and finish this tomorrow. Well, it's the next day. I decided I better call it quits since it was getting dark and made it hard to see and not the best for making videos. But anyways, I wanted to finish it, but figured I might as well wait. So I do got this top bow assembly on, and it's in 2 pieces, and on the bows, you can see there, they just slide together. Same with this one, and then you slide the foam across it to cover up the gap. And that's all that is. I did notice that where I couldn't put one of my bolts here, that's part of this support bracket for the bow. Of course, this piece of pipe that's right here, that I'm assuming was probably for an old top bow or something like that, is right in the way. I don't know if it's really necessary to have this. I'm not sure. I'm going to kind of look into it more, but if nothing else, I can drill a hole and put like a self-tapping screw in here, or maybe notch this bracket out, and then maybe I can use my retainers. In fact, the hardware came with this top, and I don't know, there's a couple options, I guess. Might be okay not having anything there, but as you can see, it's right at the weld for this pipe, so there's no way the retainers that came with this would work, the captive nuts, I guess, whatever you want to call them, because they're too long, and even a regular nut wouldn't necessarily work either. So I don't know, I'll think about that one. I might end up just doing a self-tapper, just so I can have something there. It's not like this is going to be under extreme pressure or anything like that. So if anything, the top's going to be pushing down on these bows, kind of keeping that down. Another thing, these vertical bars, it's not really too clear on the instructions, but basically you'll want to snap it in or slide it into the front. Let me get on the front pin. Let me go on the other side. You can see it a little better. So it's kind of a tight fit, but you can see that there are 2 pins here, and you'll slide the hollow part of this vertical bar onto the first pin, and the back pin will kind of sit on the back side of the hollow part. Anyways, so that's that. On these horizontal bars, they slide, and there's a little retainer. You can see that little plastic clip there. Anyways, this just, you just slide it in, lift this up, slide it to the front, and there's a hole on top, and you just push it down. Should do that on both sides. And I have these installed. It's just 2 screws. I will say, on at least on my Jeep, there is like another metal bar in here that you have to drill through, so it made it a little tougher to get this on, because this bar in here, whatever it is, wants to move around. So I'm not sure if all Jeeps are like that or not, but keep that in mind. The top one, there's nothing here, it's just the hollow frame, so it went in pretty good. And that's that. Same deal over here. I might have to do something with this just to have some kind of support, but I'll think on that one. You see, I got all the rails installed, door latch, and of course on this side, same deal. So next I need to install the hinges. It says that you measure from the bottom of the windshield gasket here. I think it's, let's see what the directions say. Measure 5 inches down and then 15 inches down from the bottom of this gasket. So that'll be the top of each hinge. So I guess need to do that. And really the rest of this is getting the top on. Okay, so 5 inches down. Also 15 inches down. Okay. So one's going here. Going here. Make sure there's no wiring back here. Nope. Not the most substantial hardware for Hinge, but okay. Okay, well, there's the hinges. Guess let's see if the door even fits. guess that's on. Okay. Could stand to be a little higher, so maybe I can adjust it a little. I guess with the latch on there, that ought to snap in where it needs to be. There's probably some adjustment procedures. Okay. Now, one thing you need to do is install the door latch, and they got pre-cut holes. So you'll just, oh, let's go this way. Slide, well, maybe that way. Open it, perhaps. Okay. So that slides in there. And there are holes, and you'll put some machine screws with nuts. Seems to work pretty good. I do think I need to have this door be up a little bit more, just so the gasket doesn't catch the body. Otherwise you're gonna have to lift the door each time. On the driver's door, I wanted the door to sit higher, and the same with this one, so that the gasket goes up into the tub. And all I really did was to adjust it. I just lifted up and bent the door up as needed. So if you need to do some more adjusting, you can just grab hold of the end of it, lift up, and tweak the hinges. There we go. So now it goes into this tub without hitting the gasket on the body. Now we'll put the latch on like the other side, and the doors will pretty much be done. So you can see the latch over here needs to be adjusted out some. So for this area here where I couldn't get the supplied hardware to work without having to do some modifications to the body, like removing this pipe here and or cutting things or drilling new holes. Basically what I've done is I got some of these body screws and just drilled a hole and run this in. Now it's secure. So I'm going to go ahead and do the one on this side. Same deal. Just drill a hole here to get to the appropriate size and then just screw this into the body, and it's nice and secure. I don't have to worry about trying to cut this out or potentially damaging the body more, even though it's, you know, obviously not perfect. But this is quick and easy and probably should work just as good. So this will go right in here. I'm gonna go ahead and vacuum the metal shavings out. Okay, it's got everything done as far as the hardware and bow assembly and everything. So next we got to put the top on. So I got it sitting out in the sun. I'm going to clip it to the track here that's on the front of the windshield and drape it over the back. So we need to make sure the top is centered left to right. After you get the front into this channel, which is actually kind of hard to do, we'll hook the back part of the roof onto the rear rails, the corner rails. So on the back side of the roof, or top I should say, on the back side of the top are these plastic strips, which the front of the top had been made like this, which maybe it was supposed to have been, would have went on a lot easier. But anyways, this just tucks underneath the lip of this rail. So you'll just stick it under here and put it on as such. So I got the back of the top fastened. On the back of this one bow, the second bow towards the rear, there's snaps. You can see the top has snaps on there, so we're going to snap them to that bow. All right. Now on each side of this bow is an adjustment to push the top up. So there's holes here that you'll snap this into. I'm just go ahead and put them on the first one. And from here we can put the sides and back on. This is the passenger side. So this channel, or this plastic piece, goes into this channel here at the door. And then there's, of course, another one on the bottom for the body tub and zippers. I'm going to start the zipper here up top. Then slide it into the channel here at the door. Such. This thing had popped out, so I guess I need to get that back into position, which may involve loosening the top. This piece is a little finicky, I will say. Probably could have been done a little bit better. Okay. Let's try this again. Pull that into place. Needless to say, this probably works a lot better in the direct sun. Zipper over here as well. Now, in order to get this stuff to line up, you can slide this back part of the roof back and forth on the channel. So I'm going to slide it towards the front. Get this zipper started here. Okay. And this goes underneath on that channel, so we gotta rotate it in, or attempt to at least. want to make sure this foam piece is on here to protect the glass. Well, glass, or clear vinyl, I should say. And there you have it, that's the side on. So we'll do that to both sides and the rear, and basically the top's done. Now, one thing you have to do here on the front is wrap this around. This is just Velcro, so we just pull this loose. And mine's a little bit more tricky since I got a roll bar, but you'll just wrap it around and put it back onto the Velcro. So let me do that real quick. Wasn't too bad, really. I just tucked mine up in between the gap between the roll bar and this window or top frame or whatever you want to call it, and it fit just fine. I really couldn't get this top to stretch over, so I rolled the Jeep out in the sun. Gonna let this thing heat up a bit, and then I'll get the rest of the top button down. Now that this has been baking in the sun a bit, maybe I'll be able to get this one on. Crazy how much a little heat can make a big difference. Okay. That was a little bit of a pain in the butt. And then on the models without the tailgate, you work the back up into the channel here. Let me see it. Snap my there. Honestly, let me go. Getting that to lock in place with the spare tire here, I don't know. Yeah, that one, I don't know about that. I may add the snaps because I don't see how this is going to work. There won't be enough room for it to slide in there, don't seem. Alright, well, the last thing to do is put the door top on. So they just slide into little slots here. So you just stick that on there. Push it down. Velcro it. And then you have a door. You can see the door has gaps, so I'm gonna see about bending it inward so it pushes against the top better. A solution for the top not wanting to go into the channel on the back for the people with no tailgate is to bend the rails out slightly. That way it gives it enough room to slide under. So now it's secure. And there's the completed top installed. I think it looks pretty good. I think it looks a lot better than the steel top did. It definitely looks less like a mail truck. Of course, there's no locks on the doors, but you know, as with any kind of soft top vehicle, if you lock it, that means somebody might just slice the window or top to get in. But you got paddle doors, so you can open them up, and there's a pull handle inside. Side windows do unzip. So you can open the window, and there is a strap here so you can roll this up. It is a soft top, so that probably means it'll still leak perhaps. It does have seals all along the doors here, but you're kind of you know, got a lot of places where water could creep in. Like that's, you know, it's an open area there, so you know, but it's mainly to keep you from getting soaked, honestly. One thing I did do is, this is just temporary, but I took the caps that came on the doors, and I'm probably gonna get some rubber tubing to fit in here, but you can connect the weather strip together. That way it doesn't have a big gap, so you can do that on both ends. Got all my tools in here. I've redone the entire interior while I was working on this top. New flooring and everything. You can see the detail of the finished product. And of course, you can unzip the sides off. You can leave this, you can roll this up. I might still end up maybe adding, you know, the snaps, like one snap here and one on the other, just to make it a little tighter. I do have it locked in the channel now, but you can see it's still a little flappy. All in all, it wasn't a bad installation. I had to do a whole bunch of extra stuff that you wouldn't have to do necessarily. Like I had to remove a hard top, I had to redo an interior, had to fix some rust issues, new floor and all that stuff. So I've been working on this for a couple days, but now it's done, and I think it looks pretty good. Like I said, it's pricey. You're looking at $1,400 top here, but it's the only option basically, unless you find a used one, which is probably gonna be shrunk and have issues. So just to get a brand new one, don't have to worry about any of that. This is your option. Well, hopefully this video was informative or entertaining, if nothing else. Kind of just shows the basic process of installing one of these tops. It's pretty straightforward. There was a few things that had to be modified or changed, which I tried to show in the video. So you might run into that or you might not. I guess it depends on your particular Jeep. Would I recommend this top? I guess because it's the only option. There is no other option basically. So if you want a soft top that's new, you're going to have to get one of these Bestops. They're pricey, as I've said, but I just think it is a lot better than the hardtop that was on there, and it's better than no top. So at least this will keep most of the weather out and allow you to drive this thing in the wintertime and such. Anyways, thanks for watching. Be sure to follow along on Instagram at Obsolete Automotive. Don't forget to check out my Facebook discussions group as well as my Patreon. Thanks for the support. Appreciate that. I will post links to all that in the description of the video. So be sure to check those out and catch you on the next one.